You know those moments where you get a gut instinct, but talk yourself out of it, then later realize that your gut was right? You have grown so much, but still second guess yourself. What if self-love is not just about routines or self-awareness, but about genuinely trusting your gut instinct, also known as intuition? Hey there, if this is your first time here, welcome. My name's Julia, and I'm a certified Dharma and spiritual life coach. And this channel is all about helping you reconnect with yourself, including your intuition, deepen your self-love, and bring more inner peace and purpose into your everyday life. This video is part 3 of my 5-part intuition series. If you have not watched the first 2 videos, I highly recommend starting there since they lay the foundation for really understanding and hearing your intuition. So I've linked them in the description below. Today, we're going a layer deeper, diving into what it really means to trust your intuition. If you desire to live a life that your soul was meant to live and not the life that others expect of you, then you will absolutely need to be in touch with your intuition, because intuition is the main channel that infinite intelligence, God, source, the universe, whatever name you use, communicates through. But true self-love is not just accepting yourself or your inner voice when it's easy. It's trusting that inner compass that guides you to where you as an individual are meant to go to live in alignment. And that often means taking the more difficult and or illogical path. Every time that you honor that nudge or that gut instinct, you are strengthening your self-trust. And every time you disregard it, you are just feeding that underlying self-doubt. If you are curious to hear more on how to actually tell whether what you're feeling or hearing is intuition versus fear, I will link another one of my videos at the end where I cover this much more in depth. Learning to trust your intuition is not about waiting for a louder voice to come through. It's really about clearing the voices that told you not to trust it in the first place. For many of us, these voices started early. Maybe you were told to be realistic, or to quiet down, or that your feelings were too much. Over time, you learn to second guess your instincts because being attuned to others feels safer than being attuned to yourself. That's why rebuilding self-trust can feel like reparenting. You are becoming the safe adult who the younger version of yourself, now your inner child, needed at the time of encountering some stressful or traumatic events. Trusting your intuition is a process of getting your body and nervous system to a balanced state, then reparenting yourself, then practicing using your intuition. The previous 2 videos helped pave the way for a more regulated nervous system, and now I will share 3 practices that will support you in repairing and trusting what you have spent so long disregarding. Your first practice is to keep an intuition log, because your intuition gets stronger as you build evidence that it's already been guiding you all along. And this is how I started my intuition journey. So reflect and write down situations where you had a quiet pull to do something, and maybe it didn't quite make logical sense, but then note what unfolded. This could be something like meeting your now best friend or now partner out of the blue, or maybe you felt an inner pull to take a different route on your commute and you ended up avoiding something catastrophic, or maybe you were put on a path to help someone. The second practice is around repair, where we will be leveraging self-repair scripts. These are so powerful. So if you aren't already, which I honestly hope you are for all of these videos, please take notes so you can modify this for yourself. Whether you are reflecting on a time from the past where ignoring your intuition brought you avoidable hardships or just deep shame, or maybe you catch yourself ignoring your intuition as you are in the process of building trust and moving forward, I invite you to pause and tell yourself, hey, I hear you. I missed the message this time. I am learning to trust you. You can absolutely modify the verbiage if you desire, if there is something else that helps you feel more seen. This practice is actually inspired by inner child psychology, which rewires your brain to associate mistakes with safety and learning instead of shame. Before we get into the last practice, let me share a time where I ignored my intuition and I used this reparenting technique to repair. A while back, I was offered what seemed like the perfect job for that season of my life. It had a flexible schedule and I'd be working one-on-one with a incredibly inspiring CEO. But even during the interview for that role, something felt a bit off, despite it going really well from the outside. However, I disregarded this feeling and accepted the role when I was extended an offer. And within weeks of starting, that subtle off feeling proved true. The CEO had begun speaking poorly to me about their own clients, and she barely knew me. This was just within a week or two, actually. And within a couple months, they were reacting from an incredibly emotionally immature place. What looked so aligned on paper ended up draining me in a way that I did not expect. And despite this being a short-term role, this work relationship ended up being one of the most volatile partnerships that I have ever experienced. And that experience cut deep into my self-trust, where I essentially had to reparent myself through the aftermath. Yes, there were opportunities that I had in my work on the team as well, but it was mostly reminding the part of me that felt ashamed for the inaccurate judgment call of the culture of the organization. I had to continually tell myself, you can still trust yourself and others. You are still safe. Not everyone is out to deceive you. And this is just one of many situations that has taught me how listening to your intuition is how you protect your energy, your values, and your peace. Now I have our last practice for anchoring in that trust in your intuition, which is a journal prompt for you when you feel stuck in analysis or self-doubt and are curious to tap into your intuition in a different way. Ask yourself and journal on the question, what would love choose for me right now? Write whatever comes to mind without filtering, because this question bypasses the ego, which is driven from fear, and reroutes you back to your heart's or soul's guidance. It is incredibly valuable to do this journaling on its own, but when you feel called, I challenge you to actually take action according to what love is telling you to do. This means you might have to set a boundary with someone or cancel plans or take other actions that feel uncomfortable in the moment, but open perspectives and sometimes opportunities that you wouldn't have been presented with otherwise. Each time you act from love instead of fear, you remind your body it's safe to trust yourself. And remember that intuition strengthens through compassion and patience, not perfection. Your intuition is love in motion. It is how the universe co-creates with you. The more you love yourself, the louder your intuition becomes. And the more you trust your intuition, the deeper your self-love grows. It's a beautiful feedback loop. So as you go about your week, notice where your body or heart is nudging you and practice listening, even if it's just to take a breath before committing to something. If this resonated, I would love to hear in the comments, what nudge are you learning to trust right now? And or when you asked yourself, what would love choose for me right now? What came up for you? Next up in this series, now that you've started rebuilding trust in your intuition, and I trust you will get to a place of deep trust, we will find out how your intuition speaks uniquely to you. Also, if you are interested in watching that video I mentioned on understanding whether what you are hearing or feeling is intuition versus fear, I have that video for you right there. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the Finding Joy Collective. Subscribe for more on intuition, spirituality, and self love.